Well, there you have it. We're here to talk about the principles of organization, and we're going to spend 4 lessons addressing this topic. And I hope by the end of this, you have an idea of what organizing is about, and you're able to connect it to the principles of management generally, and also very specifically able to connect it to the planning function. The objective, I think, for me would be to provide you with a set of objectives. You have those already on the Learn page, and I'm going to present you with objectives here for this particular lesson. Let me move into that corner and share the screen with you. First up, we must concede that this is literally about what it means to organize, okay? And that's going to incorporate definitions, I suppose, but it's going to have to also incorporate an explanation, a contextual explanation of where organization fits as a functionality or as an activity, as an objective in the greater schema of what managing is all about. To organize means to direct resources and to arrange them into some form of structure. And in addition to that, we can look at the process by which we determine this. And I can tell you that you'll see this image crop up again and again and again, but you are able to understand this as a series of principles, and that's what the slide deck that I present to you is all about. Let's get down to it and have a look at the definition by Ellen Benowitz. She says that the second function of management is organizing. She points out that organizing is the second function, with planning then being the first. And she says that a manager will structure her teams and resources once she has a plan. And it is the case that any organizing activity is something which is only relevant in the context of this plan, master plan that you have for an organization. She also adds that if you organize well, it can have a profoundly favorable effect on an organization's success. And conversely, if you organize people and the resources that they deploy badly, then that's going to have a very adverse effect on the organization's performance. So she says this happens because your ability to make decisions as an employee is affected by the nature of the organizing that has taken place by the senior management of an organization. She adds that a good organizational structure will enable people to respond to problems. And she points out that every employee will have an attitude, a disposition, a feeling about their work and their employment on the basis of the effectiveness of the organizational structure of which they are part. Benowitz says that a good organizational structure is going to achieve cost efficiencies. And finally, she says, generally, your business efficiency is enhanced by effective and good organization structure. This is now a series of objectives, if you like, but she's presented them to you here as evidence, because our understanding of organization structure suggests that all of these are in fact the case. All 5 very, very favorable objectives that you see documented in the screen in front of you, all of those are achievable through good organizing and good organizational structure. Now, if we think about planning, and you should only have got to this lesson if you'd finished the planning lessons. Planning is about decision making, and we understand planning to be about the master plan and tactical plans and operating plans and contingency plans. Each of those means that employees within different departments are going to be deployed in a particular way with additional resources, and they are going to perform specific actions. We understand those actions to be about marketing and operations and people and money. And I've illustrated that for you there because you understand that illustration, because you're becoming increasingly familiar with it. So we're saying that of the 4 different types of plans, right, that there is operations and marketing and people and money over here on the top. And we are going to populate that with people in a particular structure in order to make the business work good. All right. Now, this relationship between planning and organizing means that when you have a master plan in place, you need to coordinate, organize resources to accomplish the goal that you have set for the organization. And that means that you're going to assign responsibility to people. You're going to assign responsibility by people for particular resources like equipment and buildings and machinery. And you're going to coordinate the activity that people undertake. That means you've achieved an organizational structure, because that decision-making framework is what we call organizational structure or organizational hierarchy or organizational framework. And you have a picture of one there. And basically, I'm saying that these people in the hierarchy of the organization are then deployed in what you see here as a vertical structure. And remember that, because it is something we describe as a vertical structure. Vertical, top to bottom. That's vertical. Now, we can start filling that in, because understanding that it's simply a visual representation, it means that what you see here is that there's going to be, in a university setting, a vice chancellor who occupies that role there, the top of the organization. And in a university structure, there's going to be faculty or colleges, and there's going to be a select number of people who occupy those positions there. And then there is everyone who does a job of work and who has a supervisor who fits here. That's obviously a very incomplete and abbreviated vertical structure that I've illustrated for you on the screen. So let me flesh that out a bit, because essentially what I'm saying is that you're going to have a marketing team and an operations team and a people team and a finance team, all operating in unison, all operating at the same time. You know what this is about because you've seen it. We spoke about famous brands, and that vertical structure is something that I can label now. So take a look at this as I put the labels in. At a corporate level, Famous Brands owns a whole series of businesses, and these are the ones with which I think we are most familiar. And each of those businesses has a structure which is about marketing and operations and people and money, right? So you have to think about how you organize sometimes the many thousands of people who occupy that organizational structure. And that means knowing what work must be done. It means knowing who will be doing the work. And it means knowing who's going to be telling everyone else what to do. This is something you simply have to commit to memory, all right? It's an understanding, a fundamental understanding, a core understanding. So what work must be done? What is the work to be undertaken? And who does that? And who's in charge? So that result of addressing those three questions in blue, the result of that is what will be our organizational hierarchy, something that operates to execute tasks, to achieve goals, and to do so productively, effectively, and efficiently. And there's the mantra again. So there's 5 steps to this thing. And if it is to work, then we know that everyone who's part of it is going to know what they have to do. But if you perform the process badly, then what happens is that people feel completely at sea. They feel completely adrift. They just cannot make any headway in getting their job done. So the goal, obviously, is what you see there. And if it is going to go badly, then this is what's going to happen. And that's not what we want. So, with an understanding of what we want, effectively, I'm saying here that the first step is to review plans and objectives. The second step, work out what needs to be done. And the third step, put that into little boxes, categories, functionalities, basically departments with someone in charge of each of those departments. Because in the absence of having someone in charge, everyone's going to try and be boss. And finally, you need to put that together into a hierarchy. Now, having given you that simple listing, I'm going to say that I can expand it for you. So if you are reviewing plans and objectives, what we mean is that you're trying to contemplate what it is that you're heading towards. Where's the destination? And if you understand the destination, then you'll be able to work out what needs to be done in order to get there. 3, the units of manageable work that we can establish can arise in different ways. We give them labels and we say it's functional or geographical, or it's product, or it's customer based departmentalization. And that means we'll have to return to that, which we're certainly going to do. But before we return to it, the next step we understood in the process was to assign the activity and delegate the authority. In other words, we tell people who's going to do what, and someone has to be given the authority to be able to do that. The positional authority that we explained when we first started this module, and we were talking about the principles of the work process. Finally, we design a hierarchy of relationships, and I think you're beginning to understand that diagrammatic usage now. So if you open your benefits chapter reading, you'll find this particular illustration on page 59. And I think with that illustration in mind, you're going to be able to move on and advance and get an idea of what this is all about. But I think for now, that's enough, and we're able to stop this introductory session and move on to the next one.